Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. We're going to get started in just a moment. Let me turn off the waiting room. We have a bunch of people in the waiting room. Um, these calls have really started to catch on. I think we had like something like 600 people on the live call last week and 10,000 plus that have seen the restream. And so thank you for sharing this call. And if you're just tuning in, we're going to get started in about a minute, maybe 2 minutes. Maybe put a note in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. This is going to be awesome, and we're glad that you're here for it. My name's Trent, and I'll get to welcoming everybody properly here in just a moment. Get our translation set up. Okay, let's check this out. This is going to be great. Decatur, Illinois. We've got Rusi in Idaho. Mary in Washington State. Hey, Mary. We got Michael Billingsley or Michael Dean, sorry, in Greenville, South Carolina. Donna Turner's in Phoenix. Taksan, Tak in Tokyo, Japan. Carolyn Bird in South Carolina. Sue Parada tuning in from the Gold Coast of Australia. How about that? Cindy's in Houston. Gary's in Utah. Dina is in Alberta, Canada. Liam in Boynton Beach, Florida. We got Toronto, Canada, Michigan, Portland, Oregon, Wisconsin, Carthage, Texas. This is awesome. Holy cow. A lot of people coming on. We're going to get started in about 30 seconds. Thanks for being here. If you have a friend or a loved one or somebody that you wanted to be on this call, now would be the time to send them the text and say that we're just about to get started. Just about to get started. Let's see here. Make sure I've got the right visuals. And we're waiting for one more thing, which is we're waiting for our translation. Let's just make sure we've got our translation set up. People are listening in different languages, and we have the wonderful, lovely Haiti Muy that has agreed to help us with Spanish translation. Okay, I think we're ready. Let's go ahead and push the record button. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's call. We are so glad that you're here. We do these calls every week. And if somebody's invited you to this call, it's somebody who cares about you and wants to let you know what we're doing. If somebody that you love is struggling with their metabolic health, they should be here next week. We do these calls every week. You can invite them to these calls. Last week we had a bunch of medical professionals. We had four medical doctors on the call talking about why they love this protocol. What is the protocol? What are these calls all about? We're going to get into that in just a moment. Tonight, I'm going to be joined by three incredible guests who I cannot wait for you to hear from. I'm really looking forward to it, and all of that is coming in just a moment. If you're new, if you're here for the very, very first time, go ahead and put a new in the chat. I'd love to see the new people that are here for the first time in the chat. If you've been here, well, hi, Denise. Hey, Brenna, Daphne, and Eddie. Hey, what's up, Eddie Lacey? Nice to see you, Eddie Lacey. How about that? We spoke the other day, I think, right? We got Rochelle, we got Jeffrey Lur, sorry, Jeffrey. We got Janet. Hey, Janet, nice to see you, Janet, and Deborah, and Shelly, and Derek, and Dawn, and Cliff, and all these other new people. Welcome to all the people that are here for the first time. If you've been here before, would you put repeat in the chat? Anybody that's been here before, whether you've been here one time or 100 times, put repeat in the chat. You'll notice that we have a lot of repeaters. And people like to come to these calls. In fact, some people come every week. And the reason why is because on these calls, we are absolutely changing lives and saving lives. We started doing these calls a couple years ago with the goal to change the world, to change healthcare. And by the end of this call, I think you'll have plenty of proof that that is what we are doing. We want to give a big shout out to all of our medical professionals, all of our doctors, all of our nurses, all of our dietitians, nutritionists, diabetes educators, and others that are on this call that are supportive of what we're doing. Thank you. We love you. We salute you. We couldn't do this without you. And we better get into the substance of tonight's call. Let me start because we do have a number of new people here that are here for the very first time. Let me perhaps start just by setting the table and explaining exactly what it is that we are doing here. All right. Exactly what these calls are about. So many of you watching this call are in wonderful health. Uh, some may be in poor health, right? And some may be somewhere in the middle. We now know that one of the biggest problems that we have in the world today, perhaps the biggest problem in all of healthcare, is a problem known as insulin resistance. Have you ever heard of this problem before? Maybe it's something you know about. Maybe it's something you do not know about. By the end of tonight's call, you're going to be an expert on this subject. All the brightest and best doctors and medical professionals are very concerned about this problem of insulin resistance because this is actually the root problem that causes things like obesity or fatty liver or diabetes and prediabetes. In fact, if you have diabetes or prediabetes, that's like insulin resistance squared, okay? That is double insulin resistance. Migraine headaches, mental health problems like anxiety, depression, things like Alzheimer's and dementia. Heart disease is the number one killer in the world. Well, the number one contributor to heart disease is insulin resistance. PCOS is now the number one cause of infertility worldwide. What's the number one driver of PCOS? It's this insulin resistance. Now, I want you to imagine for a moment that you actually had a solution to this problem. What if you had invented and patented a solution to the problem of insulin resistance, thereby saving the lives of all your friends and family that struggle with this? What if you could make obesity a thing of the past? What if you could save the lives of people with fatty liver, with diabetes and prediabetes, with Alzheimer's, with heart disease? What if you could just knock out all these problems? I mean, how many lives could you save with this solution? Billions, probably, from premature death. There is a solution to the problem of insulin resistance, and it is natural. Nobody can, it's not something that the pharmaceutical companies own or can sell to you. It is something that we talk about every single week on these calls. And so if somebody's invited you to these calls, they're probably drinking the Kool-Aid, all right? And let me just tell you right from the front what our Kool-Aid is all about. So we do two things. We do a little bit of fiber. Fiber is an incredibly important tool if your goal is to fight insulin resistance. Now, I don't care how healthy you are. You could be an absolute super athlete. If you are, you probably know how important fiber can be. Fiber is what feeds our gut microbiome. Fiber is what controls our blood sugar, our insulin, our cholesterol, our triglycerides. Fiber is the key to a healthy gut. Fiber is actually what causes us to feel full and gives us appetite control, right? So fiber is very important. We do a little bit of fiber. And we also do a little bit of fasting. So those are the two things, a little bit of fiber and a little bit of fasting. I'm not talking about anything extreme. I'm not talking about 40 days and 40 nights with no food. I'm talking about short, deliberate breaks from food. This allows insulin to come down and us to become more insulin sensitive instead of insulin resistant, right? And I'm going to be explaining how this protocol works and how you can incorporate it into your daily life and perhaps have everything change for your health. And in a moment, I'm going to give you so much proof that you're going to say, I cannot believe that what I heard on this call tonight was accurate. I mean, you may be skeptical. I was. Many people would be skeptical, but we're going to give you so much proof that you're going to be dying to try this protocol and dying to tell the loved ones that you care about this protocol, okay? So before we get into all that, we have a little tradition here where we like to start the call by interviewing some people that used to be new like you. People that had not, these are two people tonight that we're going to interview that were strangers to me that started following this protocol, and we want to hear what it's done for them so far. And these are two very special guests, two wonderful, wonderful people who are actually sisters. And so let's go with sister number one, which is Carla, and sister number two is coming here. There's Linda. We got Carla and Linda. All right, ladies, thank you so much for coming on this call and for being willing to talk in front of 400 strangers on the Zoom here and probably 10,000 more strangers on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and all the restreams. So Maybe to begin, you guys can decide who goes first, who goes second, but where were Carla and Linda at with their health prior to starting this protocol? How bad were things before you got started?
So I'm going to be sister number one. So I've been a hairdresser for 39 years. And before starting this protocol, I I had a lot of belly fat. My feet were killing me. I had inflammation. I had plantar fasciitis actually in my feet, and it hurt. I spent a lot of money on my feet. I was tired all the time. I had brain fog. My poor clients, when they'd come in the shop, they probably thought I was crazy, but I didn't feel good. If I had a minute between people, I would sit down and put my feet up. So I'm 57 now, and I feel a lot better. I'll let Carla tell her story.
Well, before I began this, and I guess we've been doing this just under 3 years, but before I began this, I ached all over. I had I was pre-diabetic. I had gout flare-ups. I actually was on a statin, which the doctor never told me. That's why my muscles ached all the time. And I was tired, way overweight, and addicted to sugar. Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew was my go-to. I would have at least two a day and sometimes two in an evening before bed. So I was kind of a mess.
Well, hey, I think that if I had not met you ladies and heard your story, I might have a hard time believing it. Because when I looked at the before and after, which I'll show here in a moment, um, it looks like it must be AI that, changed these images. It is just so dramatic. And you guys are the best. And I just love both of you. I hope you know that. Again, Carla and Linda were total strangers to me, but through these calls, and now they've been on the protocol for 3 years, I have met them now in person. And so, okay, maybe before I share these pictures, you get on the protocol and what has happened so far? How has what has changed for you? And maybe most specifically, how has it changed your daily life? What are some daily things that are different now after the protocol?
Well, since I've been on the protocol, I've lost 70 pounds. I am no longer on my high blood pressure medicine, which I gradually went off of that over the course of about 10 months. My doctor was watching me, and I'm off my high blood pressure medicine. My inflammation is gone. I had skin tags under my arms. They have fell off. I had brown patches on my elbows, which I didn't know was insulin resistance, and they've went away. Um, I had terrible sleep apnea, and it's gone. I'm off my CPAP machine now. Um, let's see, and my 70 pounds, and I feel great.
It's incredible. I mean, I did not know about the skin tags or the acanthosis nigricans on your elbows. I didn't know
Yeah,
about that.
yeah,
Okay. And
it's okay.
Carla,
For me, I've lost 80 pounds and I have not had one gout flare up since I started the protocol. I'm completely off my statins. My cholesterol is all in check. My blood work has gotten better every time. I actually coughed for 20 years and they did testing. Nobody could figure out what my cough was. It was just one of those tickle coughs. My cough is gone. Um, I'm no longer pre diabetic. And I just feel I've joined the gym. I'm out picking up sticks. I'm out throwing 50 bags of mulch in one afternoon. I just feel like a new person. And I will always do this protocol, always. This whole community, this Unicity community has been there to help Linda and I. And, just the support in these products, it's just a win-win.
oh, I love it. Well, guys, this couldn't have been scripted any better. So thank you so much. I mean, thank you. This isn't scripted, of course, everybody who is listening. This is not scripted. This is just these two great women speaking from the heart. Now, they have given me permission and sent me a photo, which I'll share now. So I'm going to share a quick photo and then we'll let you guys, I know it's a couple hours later in your time zone than it is mine, but if I'm going to start, I've got Linda's picture here. So let me start with Linda's picture before. And there is Linda before and Linda after. And Linda said 70 pounds, no more no more skin tags, no more acanthosis nigricans. I mean, she already went through all the different things, but there's Linda. And then here's Carla before. And now Carla after. So incredible. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carla and Linda. Anything you'd say to anybody who's maybe skeptical or on the fence as we sign off here?
Oh my goodness, try it. Try it. You will never regret it. It's amazing what it can do for you, and we're just ordinary country girls. I mean, we've tried other things and nothing works like this. For something to help you to lose weight and get your health back, it's just amazing.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you so much. Well, ladies, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. We'll let you go and we'll move on with the call. But thank you. That is the best part of this call every week, guys, to hear these stories. Now, we are going to hear a lot more stories as we go. And I want you to see what happens. I mean, did you see the difference before and after? No more gout flare-ups, no more skin tags, no more prediabetes, no more statin, no more high blood pressure, right? How is it possible you could solve all these problems with a simple protocol? Well, it's simple. If you solve the insulin resistance, everything else can fall over like a domino, right? Now, on tonight's call, we have one of the top experts in the world, and I am not exaggerating, one of the top experts in the world on all things metabolic health, but specifically insulin resistance. And tonight's call is a call that is different than other calls that we've done. Tonight's call is all about fat loss. I think that the whole world right now, for the most part, is thinking about fat loss. We have tens of millions of people in this country alone that are turning to injections, other medications, drugs, and even some surgeries and treatments just because they are so desperate. They're struggling with food noise, appetite control, and excess body fat. Now, the challenge with excess body fat is when excess body fat is in, especially the visceral fat area, when it's the ectopic fat on the liver, this fat can become very dangerous. And so this is not about, body image, or what would be the right word. This is not about, anything other than saving your life and helping improve health, helping improve longevity, quantity of life, and quality of life, right? So that is the only reason we're talking about fat loss, is in terms of what it means for somebody's quality and quantity of life. And we have one of the top experts in the world who I'll bring on in just a moment. Now, I want to just set the agenda for the call. I will bring in our guest here and we will be able to listen from her and learn from her. After the guest, I do want to take just a couple of minutes to explain the protocol, to explain exactly how you can follow the protocol, maximize the protocol for results. For anybody that's new here, that's a little bit in the dark on how our protocol works, you will not be in the dark much longer. We're going to explain it very, very carefully. I also want to give you a ton of proof, and you're going to hear some incredible stories from some people that are on the protocol and give you, warm, fuzzy feelings all about this, okay? If we have time, we may even be able to have Lindsay, our guest tonight, come back and do some live Q&A if anybody has questions. So that will be the agenda, and let's go ahead and bring in our guest. Tonight's call is all about fat loss, and this is one of the world's leading experts on the subject. Lindsay Venn is one of the founding members for the Metabolic Society of Healthcare Practitioners. Lindsay works and is I call the heart and soul of Insulin IQ. She works with Dr. Ben Bickman. She works with lots of other medical professionals, spends her day looking at blood work and helping people who are struggling with their metabolic health fix it. And whenever possible, fix it naturally. Lindsay's one of those medical professionals that believes in minimum necessary medication. And I have learned so much from this wonderful woman. So, Lindsay, I'm going to turn it over to you. And Lindsay's going to
Awesome.
address us on fat loss.
Thank you, Trent, for you always do such a nice introduction. So, welcome everybody. I am so glad to be back again. It's been a little while, and I always thoroughly enjoy these calls. And those of you who have seen me present before, I love my PowerPoint presentations. So we're going to go there so I can help you visualize what it is that I'm talking about to make the learning a little bit more take homeable. So like Trent had said, I do work at Insulin IQ. I am their metabolic medical director, and I also have my own practice at Venn Integrative Medicine. So I'm going to dive a little deeper into insulin resistance because Trent did such a great job of explaining why it's so important, but I want to explain the physiology behind it. And so this image right here, when it comes to fat burning, insulin is the culprit. It is the number one problem with fat storage, and it is the number one preventer of fat burning. And so we need to learn how to bring our insulin down in order to burn fat. It's not all about weight loss, and it's great. Carla, you guys are great when it comes to the weight loss piece of it, but I can tell you I've seen them. They didn't lose muscle mass either. Neither of those ladies look weak at all. So let me explain it. So insulin is a storage hormone. And anytime somebody eats, we're going to elevate our glucose. And when we elevate our glucose, we're going to elevate insulin. When insulin is excreted from our pancreas, it comes out and it will go into this receptor site here, which will therefore open this door for glucose to get inside of the cell. That is what insulin's job is to do, is to regulate your energy that you're bringing in. The problem is with insulin resistance is it's exactly what the term means. Your cell has become resistant to the effects of insulin. So we have this problem where this insulin receptor is broken. I liken this a lot to a lock and a key. If insulin is the key, your cell has a door on it and there's a lock involved, but that lock is broken. If the lock is broken, insulin can't do its job and glucose cannot get into the cell. And what does this lead to? It leads to hunger, it leads to cravings, it leads to brain fog, it leads to fatigue because these cells are essentially starving. It also leads to fat storage because our brain is super smart. And when it sends a lot of glucose and insulin out here in the bloodstream, it knows that you have plenty of energy floating around, so it has no reason to turn on fat burning. Why would it turn on fat? There's lots of glucose and insulin around. Your cell doesn't think that because it doesn't have very much glucose and insulin. So this is the problem when it comes to fat burning. If insulin is elevated, you cannot burn fat for fuel, and this is what prevents fat loss down the road. The other problem here is that our insulin will take these extra carbohydrates, aka glucose, and it will shove them because your body doesn't want to have high blood sugar. Your body knows that high blood sugar is a problem. So what does insulin do? It's going to massively shove glucose into places that we don't want it. Fat, of course, that's the topic of tonight, is a place where it's going to shove this extra glucose in the form of fat. But it's also going to shove it into your liver and into your muscle in the form of fat. Again, it wants it out of the bloodstream, so it's going to deposit it into your liver and your muscle. So insulin is going to store, and if it's high, your brain says, you can't burn fat, boss. You need to, you've been fed, you have lots of glucose and insulin. We can't burn fat, and we're going to store all this extra glucose in places that we don't want. The liver and the muscle were not designed as fat storage depots. The fat was, but as you know, like Trent mentioned, fatty liver is a very common side effect of insulin resistance. So I want to make this easier for everybody. I want you to think of your refrigerator and your freezer at home. When we have insulin in play after we've eaten something, we are going to fill up our refrigerator. Just like when we go to the grocery store, we're going to come home. Everything that we can fit in the refrigerator is going to go in the refrigerator. And anything that's left over, we're going to go take and put it in the freezer. And so this is into our fat. Our fat is our long-term storage form of energy. And so we fill up the freezer reaches, we fill up the fridge reaches capacity. We move on to the freezer, and that is the fat storage piece where people start to gain that excess body fat. So how does it work? We eat a diet high in carbohydrates, the Mountain Dew that was mentioned. and our insulin becomes more elevated. And when insulin becomes more elevated, we fill up that refrigerator. When we fill up our refrigerator, when it's too full, insulin remains high, then we're going to fill up our fat stores, which is our freezer. The only exception to this is when we are exercising. If you are exercising, you don't need insulin. You can use that glucose right away. I know very few people who exercise multiple times a day. So this is a benefit that we do have and we do recognize, and I'm going to talk about, but it's something that isn't an all-day solution for the vast majority of people. So how do we reverse this? How do we turn it around and let's start using that freezer? The freezer's harder to use. It's in your basement. You got to unthaw the food. You have to go through the cooking processes with it. It's not like grabbing an apple out of the refrigerator. So how do we do this? Well, first of all, we need to reduce carbohydrates. That's a simple one because carbohydrates are the number one thing that stimulate insulin. Number two, like Trent mentioned, the Feel Great system is a super powerful tool for helping to reverse insulin resistance. We incorporate a little bit of intermittent fasting as well. It is very, very powerful at improving insulin resistance, and the ultimate effect is lowering that insulin. When we lower insulin, we empty out that refrigerator. And what do we have to do when we don't have any food in our refrigerator? We go into the basement and we open up that freezer, unlocking that freezer or unlocking our fat stores in order to be able to burn fat better. Where can you add in the exercise piece? Boosting muscle will give you added fat burning benefit. Muscle is our powerhouse. It will utilize, I call it your glucose dump. If you want to dump glucose, have more muscle. It's super important when it comes to burning fat. What's a really easy thing that you can do? This daily protocol with Feel Great system is amazing. It incorporates an intermittent fast. Most people tend to do it at breakfast. It also incorporates these products that I'm going to let Trent go into detail about, but this is a really easy way, like Carla and Linda mentioned, that you can incorporate the things that we're preaching, intermittent fasting, lower carbohydrate intake, to reduce that insulin resistance. So here's a question. My friend Yvette, who many of you know, sent me a little video and she says, you should talk about this. And it really tied into this well. We have people who've been on this protocol that complain that I'm not losing weight. What is going on? I'm not losing weight. Well, the question isn't, are you losing weight? The question is, are you losing fat? And there's lots of things that you can do to determine that, because the scale oftentimes will not move like we expect it to move, but the fat will be moving the way we want it to. So first of all, there is a great new body scan tool in the Feel Great Fasting app. This is not a cheap tool to the vast majority of people who just go try to purchase it, but thanks to Unicity, it's now free to any of the Feel Great users. And so you can scan yourself as often as you want. If you want to scan yourself once a week, once a month, whatever, you can determine if you are actually starting to lose body fat at home by yourself, a free perk to using the Feel Great system. Another thing you can do is check your ketone levels. Ketones are a byproduct of fat burning. So if you have a way to do this, we recommend typically blood ketone monitoring, but you can also do breath ketone monitoring. Or if you're brand new to doing intermittent fasting in the Feel Great system, you can also incorporate urinary ketone monitoring. If you're burning ketones, you are burning fat. Ketones, again, are a byproduct of fat burning. And so if you have them present, especially at a good level, you know you're burning fat, even if that scale isn't moving. And there's so many benefits to fat burning above and beyond weight loss that we want to talk about. If you don't want to measure your ketones, what else can you look at? Well, you can look at your fruity breath in the morning. If you wake up and you have a metallic taste in your mouth, if you have a fruity breath sensation, that's ketones. You're blowing off ketones, which is also blowing off calories, which is actually a benefit when it comes to fat burning. Some people will experience changes in their skin, and this is normal. As we burn fat, we will release toxins. Our toxins are stored in our fat. And so as we release those toxins, one of the places that this will show itself is in our skin, whether it be itchiness or rash, acne, different things like that you might experience. You might have more sweating. This is actually a good positive sign that we're burning more fat. Heart rate might decrease a little bit. If you've got an Apple Watch or something, you might watch that. Does your mental clarity improve? Did that brain fog go away? Ketones are optimal fuel for our brain. If our brain is insulin resistant, we will struggle with brain fog. Mental clarity will start to improve. That means you are burning fat. Are your clothes fitting better, or did you take measurements? Those are other good markers as well. dry mouth or increased thirst. As we drop the refrigerator, as that refrigerator empties and we lose glycogen, there's 4 molecules of water on each molecule of glycogen. You're going to be naturally more thirsty. That's a good thing. Muscle twitching and cramping can occur, and we're going to talk about strategies to improve that. But if it's happening, you're burning fat. Is your appetite suppressed or burning fat for fuel? That's a great sign. Do you have a little bit more cold intolerance, meaning you feel colder than you normally do? That's another sign of fat loss. This one's such a bummer. Are you waking up in the middle of the night all of a sudden? Well, bummer that you're not sleeping as well, but guess what? You're burning fat. And that's just the body transitioning in its fuel sources. It's a good sign and it's temporary. And do you have a reduction in muscle stiffness and soreness like those ladies mentioned? It is fantastic when it comes to lowering inflammation when we're burning fat and getting rid of that inflammation. So now the question, and why I'm here tonight, is how do we make this go faster? Because everybody wants to burn fat faster if they can naturally, and that's the key. So some additional strategies besides incorporating the Feel Great system that you might want to incorporate. Number 1, protein is huge. Prioritize your protein. My recommendation is to pick your desired body weight. It's different for everybody. We're not using your actual body weight or your ideal body weight. Pick the body weight that you know you can achieve and sustain and feel really good at, and aim for 1 gram of protein per pound. So if you want to weigh 130 pounds, you need to eat 130 grams of protein. Calories matter. Another great perk in this new app that we've got is there is a meal tracker in there. You take a picture of your plate, it'll tell you your macros, it'll tell you your calories. Maybe you're overdoing the fat. Maybe you're eating more calories than you think. Now you have a simple, easy way to track that and adapt if it does seem to be a problem. Stronghold is another wonderful product that Unicity has just come out with, and the studies on this show not only 1, that we're improving GLP-1 secretion by incorporating Stronghold, but 2, the muscle mass. If you are putting in your efforts at the gym, your muscle mass benefits are significant. The study that Ben had talked about was a 40% increase in people doing the exact same workout. The ones taking Stronghold had 40% benefit compared to the ones who are not. So that's a great tool to add in. Moving after your meals, 5 to 10 minutes, you guys. It's not that much. If you can just move after your meals, whether it be go for a walk, do some air squats, hop on your stationary bike, any kind of movement after your meals will improve because of that GLUT4 that I mentioned at the beginning. You're going to lower glucose and lower insulin without requiring more insulin to get rid of those carbohydrates. And of course, adding in more muscle. Any resistance training, whether it be body weight resistance or the gym, is going to be beneficial. So what if the scale isn't moving? What if you keep looking at that darn scale and say, okay, it's not moving. Sure, maybe I'm losing a little bit of fat, but my scale isn't moving. Many times, if you're doing what I'm teaching you to do, is you're going to be losing fat but gaining muscle. That is a net zero oftentimes on the scale. Your clothes are going to fit better. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel more lean. You're going to have people commenting on how you look. That's a net positive. In my book, I'd much rather have body composition changes rather than weight changes. That toxin release that I mentioned, when we release toxins, we tend to hold on to a little bit more water. And so that could prevent the scale from moving. Fatty liver is a big one. Your liver is not functioning correctly if you have fatty liver. And now that we are making your liver work a little bit harder by burning its glycogen and by doing other gluconeogenesis forms, it can prevent the scale from moving. This is okay. The other piece of it is if you are losing that visceral fat and that liver fat, it's not much. Our liver's not very big. If you lose 100% of your liver fat, which you'll never do, that's an exaggeration. But if you lose 90% of your liver fat, you might only lose 1 or 2 pounds. You may not notice it on the scale, but that reduction in liver fat is huge. Make sure you check that list that I mentioned earlier. Check for those symptoms. Maybe look at some metrics, maybe get a ketone monitor. Addressing the symptoms, the signal that the muscle cramping and the muscle twitching that I mentioned earlier is a magnesium issue. When we incorporate intermittent fasting, a lot of times we become a little more deficient in magnesium. And so Signal is a wonderful product from Unicity that actually has more magnesium than any other electrolyte that I've seen. And so that's a really great product also to add if you're having the muscle twitching and cramping, boosting electrolytes and magnesium. This is a big one with a lot of my patients. Are you doing the system regularly and consistently? Are you doing it as instructed? If you're not, double down because it does work. I've seen it work in so many people. Double down on your efforts and be patient. The longer you've been sick, the longer it'll take to overcome this, but be patient. It will happen. I've seen it far too frequently. And to address the hormone side of this, are hormones playing a role? Yes, insulin is a hormone. It's the primary hormone playing a role. But what other hormones might be playing a role? Your thyroid certainly can be playing a role. It does lead to what I call weight loss resistance. Before you do anything about this, get your labs checked. And you need to get all of these checked, not just your basic TSH. Get them all checked. If it's a problem, work with your provider. You can always seek me out. I'm happy to help. Estrogen. Menopause, of course, is a big problem. But perimenopause is just as big of a problem. If we don't have enough estrogen, we will make more insulin. It is a physiologic problem of menopause. If we have too much estrogen, if you're being overdosed on your hormone replacement therapy, it can cause weight gain. So making sure we're looking at these estrogen levels. Testosterone in both men and women. Not enough testosterone will cause insulin resistance, and insulin resistance will cause low testosterone. It's a really vicious cycle, so it can really play a role there as well. It can be a problem, but the number one strategy for improving testosterone is to fix the insulin resistance. And then again, progesterone, the last one I'll mention, we need a good balance. And so if you're on HRT, make sure you're working with a well-versed provider. So how do you address them? Like I said, number one, front and foremost, fix the insulin resistance. Incorporate the Feel Great system. Try to lower your carbohydrates, use some intermittent fasting, prioritize your protein like I mentioned, use healthy fats and fiber to help. Boost your hormones naturally with resistance exercise and optimizing your protein intake. Very, very helpful. Testosterone is boosted significantly with more muscle mass and exercise. Our gut plays a big role too. And so if you didn't know this, estrogen is metabolized in the gut. And if your gut is out of whack, you will retain more estrogen. You are not metabolizing it like we're supposed to. Therefore, you're keeping it on board. And like I said, too much estrogen will lead to problems with weight gain. So fix your gut. The specific fibers, this patented fiber blend is great for gut health when it comes to that, and it can improve estrogen. And if you're menopausal, sorry, ladies, it's an unfortunate stage of life. Work with a well-versed provider. I do support HRT for most people, but because menopause leads to more insulin resistance, if you can battle that insulin resistance with diet and the Feel Great system, you're going to do better if HRT is not an option. And last, I wanted to throw this out here. I told Trent I was going to mention it. Now is the perfect time to start. Anybody who's new is the perfect time to start because they just opened up this challenge. Unicity is hosting a challenge for anybody who wants to join, and it's pretty simple. If you purchase the Feel Great system, you're going to get that free app. You obtain your body scan, and boom, you can enter. It's a fantastic way to do it. You're going to have motivation. You're going to have support. You're going to have the Feel Great system to make your efforts more. And who doesn't like a good challenge when it comes to having more motivation doing something? We do recommend to get additional labs and metrics. The more that you can prove that you did really well on the system, the better off your chances of winning this challenge are. So get your labs, measure your waist circumference, do the body scan, anything you can do to have additional metrics. Sign up is June 1st. It ends on October 31st with the final scan and results. And the prizes, you guys, are amazing. There's a trip to Thailand. There's some cash prizes that are significant. I think it's a fantastic time. If you want to consider this, now's the time. So,
and Lindsay, quick question. Labs are important, but I think some people don't know how to get labs, or labs can be very expensive, maybe cost prohibitive to some people. And some people may be worried to go get labs because they're worried of what their labs might show and what the doctor's going to say because of them, right? And so is there a resource that you could share with us about labs?
absolutely. And so my team here at Unicity has created this great opportunity where if you want to get cheap labs done for this challenge specifically,
Oh,
we've discounted it. And so I was hoping that you would ask that question. So for $35, you guys, you can scan this QR code. We can get a complete metabolic panel, which is kidney, liver, electrolytes, glucose. We can get an insulin level, which your doctor is not going to measure, and you're going to have a hard time getting it, an A1C, and a lipid panel. And so if you decide to do this, you'll get an email from FullScript, who is the group that I use to help. It must be a Quest facility. So make sure you have a Quest facility near you. And if you just scan this QR code and fill out the form for 35 bucks, you can have the labs. They're all yours. If you don't want your doctor to see them, they're all yours. They won't see them. The only downside is these 4 states are not included, unfortunately. And people in those states know that that's a state thing. So anyway, it's exciting.
I think I paid either $49 or maybe $99 just for fasting insulin. Just for fasting insulin. So that's a great deal. Thank you, Lindsay,
Yeah,
for telling us
you're
about that.
very welcome.
Okay, we're going to bring Lindsay back here in a moment. Lindsay, thank you. That was amazing. And you did a great job of explaining that. I have found that there are 2 groups of people. There are people who get on this protocol and that lose weight super fast. And then there are others that it takes more time. And obviously, there's so many layered factors, which you just explained: diet, exercise, certainly hormones, and all these other things. So, guys, if you are having a hard time navigating this, Lindsay, if you could maybe put in the chat where somebody could reach out if they have questions, etc., that would be great. And we'll try to bring Lindsay back here in just a moment. Now, I want to take a moment because our newbies, the new people who are here for the first time, have been so patient and they've hung on, and some of them are maybe a little bit in the dark on what this protocol is. What is this Feel Great system? How does it work? How can you use it? Okay. And so I'm going to take just a couple of minutes to explain this slowly and carefully, and also show you a bunch of proof, because anytime I see something new, something unfamiliar to me, I tend to be a little skeptical. So we're going to accompany this with lots of proof. Okay. Now, maybe to begin, let me just share my screen here. We do have a lot of medical professionals on the call. And so for medical professionals and non-medical professionals, this will help explain the protocol a little bit. So I'll just start here. Um, if you are on any kind of a pharmaceutical, you're going to want to pay special attention to what I'm talking about here. If you're not on a pharmaceutical, this is all still applicable to you, just maybe not quite as applicable for this slide, this first slide here. So many people are familiar with pharmaceuticals. People take things like statins because statins will reliably lower your LDL cholesterol. People take metformin because metformin will lower your blood sugar by 20 to 30%, right, on blood sugar or glucose. Lisinopril there's 60 million adults in the United States taking blood pressure lowering medication, right? There's 47 million taking the statins. Ozempic is really popular because it lowers food noise, right? And so there's lots of drugs. Now, of course, we all know that these drugs do come with some side effects. And we also know that these drugs do not cure the problem. These drugs are used to manage the symptoms. And so many people go on these drugs and stay on these drugs long term. There are also natural remedies, and maybe you're more of a natural person, right? You like the idea of natural, no drugs, no side effects. There is a mountain of clinical data on lots of different ways to lower your cholesterol, your LDL, lower your blood sugar, lower food noise, lower blood pressure using natural remedies. But these natural remedies also have some problems. Okay. One of the problems is that your medical professional maybe was not trained on any of these natural remedies. So they're not going to be able to be particularly helpful. Also, these have not been standardized. There is not a dosage, right? So you don't know, I mean, how much berberine am I supposed to take? How much is too much? Do I drink a bottle full of niacin to lower my cholesterol? Or, how does that work? And so oftentimes when people look into natural remedies, they're met with some, a little bit of perhaps ambivalence from their medical professional, because the medical professional will say something like, well, I don't know about these things. They might work for you. They might not work for you. It would make me feel more comfortable given your high blood sugar or high blood pressure if you just took the medications because I know that will work, right? And so this has been a problem. There is now something called a nutraceutical, and nutraceuticals are changing the game forever. This is good news. This is life-saving news, because not only with the nutraceuticals can you get the clinical grade benefits, but you can avoid the side effects and the lifelong dependency. Okay, so nutraceuticals are made from natural ingredients. So you take things like phytosterols and niacin and soluble fiber and polycosanol and chromium, right? And pectin and guar gum and beta glucan, and you put it into a standardized, clinically proven, effective, safe, and even guaranteed product. And these nutraceuticals balance actually works as well as, and sometimes even better than the statin for cholesterol control. It often works as well as or better than the metformin for blood sugar control, but there are no drugs in it. Unimate is a concentrated extract of the yerba mate plant, which is known for increasing GLP-1. Same thing Ozempic does, but Unimate does it naturally, right? Chlorogenic acid is amazing for insulin sensitizing. There's a lot of chlorogenic acid in Unimate. In fact, it's the most concentrated form of chlorogenic acid that I can find on the planet. And so when you combine these nutraceuticals into a protocol, you can change the world. That is why we started doing these calls. When we started doing these calls, there was about 5 of us. And now there are 500 here live and probably 10 to 15,000 that will see it through Restream. Okay. So what is happening as a result of using these nutraceuticals? So if you're new, let me explain this protocol very simply, okay? I want to ask you a question. Do you have anything regarding your health that you wish you could change? We find that 9 out of 10 of the people that listen to us have one or more of these problems, okay? So 9 out of 10 of American adults have one or more of these problems. Some of the most popular ones are cravings, belly fat, high blood sugar. Neuropathy is very common. Inflammation is very common. We've got obesity. 2/3 of American adults struggle with are overweight. About 40% of American adults are either type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic. Erectile dysfunction is a problem that most people don't want to talk about that have it. PCOS for women, fatty liver, Alzheimer's. When you look at these, which ones resonate most with you? Did you know that just about all of these problems come from what Lindsay was talking about? They come from high blood sugar and high insulin. Up here is danger zone. When our blood sugar and our insulin is constantly up here in this white area, we get lots of fat storage and damage. Another word for damage might be neuropathy. Another word for damage might be inflammation or high blood pressure. We don't want fat storage and damage. We want to be down here in this cool blue area where we have fat burning and relief. And that is exactly what this nutraceutical combination does. The yellow one you take whenever you're not eating. It helps kill food noise and it keeps insulin low so that we can become more insulin sensitive. It is absolutely fantastic. I've got a bottle of it right here. When I'm sipping the yellow one, I forget about food. I can fast forever with this, all right? The orange one is going to change healthcare. This is the blend of fiber and phytosterols and chromium and minerals that actually helps control and eliminate the blood sugar and insulin spike. So if you're going to have lunch or dinner or whatever meal is coming up next, and you have that orange packet before it, your blood sugar and insulin will stay under control. You can kill the spike. This leads to more fat burning and relief. Now, Carla and Linda talked about some of the fat burning and relief they've experienced, but I want to give you some more proof. Now, just for any skeptic, you can look this up. Your doctor can look it up in the physician's desk reference. They will see that it's in the PDR. They will see that there are no drug interactions. This is now HSA eligible, FSA eligible. Everybody should be talking about this, but nobody is. And it's probably because there's not a pharmaceutical company that owns the patents on it. Nevertheless, it has been studied at the Cleveland Clinic and about 50 other institutions. It is safe. It is guaranteed to work. And if you use it properly and are consistent, it won't let you down. Now, the best part is it actually saves you more than it costs you. This protocol costs about $5 per day. Now, most people will skip a meal and do some intermittent fasting. So if, let's say, you skip breakfast, you're going to save $5 to $10 that you would have spent on breakfast or at Starbucks or whatever, right? We're going to sip the yellow one, the Unimate, which is going to allow us to burn fat throughout the morning. We keep our insulin levels low, right? Now, I'll have lunch and dinner later in the day, and I'll usually do a balance before one or both of those meals. We want to at least put it before whichever is the heavier of the two meal, whichever one has more carbohydrates or is a heavier meal. I usually have a midday Unimate just to, instead of drinking Diet Pepsi and peanut M&Ms, I'll have a Unimate, and this allows me to burn more fat and saves additional money. Now, people every day go on Amazon or they go to the manufacturer's website and they pay about $250 to order this protocol, and it is worth every penny. But you will never ever pay that price, okay? Because you're on this call and you have been invited by somebody that has a discount link, you're going to get it for $159 or $169. $159 if you decide to order with a subscription, which can be paused or canceled at any time, which means you're only going to be paying about $5 per day. So you will lock in this preferred pricing for life. You will never ever pay the price that everybody else pays on Amazon or through the manufacturer. And the best part is this will solve your problem. Go back to the problem that you have. What was your problem? Was it belly fat? Was it cravings? Was it neuropathy or something else, right? If you do not see a measurable improvement, if you do not feel better than you have in years, if you don't feel like this has helped you, you can just get a refund. So there's nothing to lose. You can try it for 90 days and prove it. Now, this is what you'll receive when you order the protocol. And it is a far cry from some of these band-aid approaches. We are interested in fixing the insulin resistance problem, right? And we're going to use some fasting and some fiber to do it. Now, I will stop here, and I have been talking a lot now, and I said I was going to give you lots of proof, and we don't have much time. So I'd like to ask a favor. If you are not new, maybe you're a repeater, maybe you've been on the protocol for a week or a month or a year or longer. If you have been on this protocol and you would just take 10 seconds and maybe put a note or two in the chat, I would really, really appreciate it. So if you'd put a note or two in the chat about what it's done for you or a member of your family, and I don't want you to exaggerate, obviously, just what it's done, I would love to read a few of these and let others who are new see just how powerful this protocol is. I'm going to scroll up here. Oh, holy cow, these are coming in kind of fast. Kathy Rounds has said, has the price increased by $10? No, the price is $159 with the discount link, $169 if it's a one-time. Mila says, in 4 months, I've lost 44 pounds, reversed my depression, and lowered my blood pressure. Life-saving. Thank you, Mila. Keith Newsom says, I've reversed my type 2 in 90 days. I'm off 108 units of insulin in a day within 2 days. Neuropathy's gone, skin tags are gone, blood pressure's normal, inflammation is gone. My blood work is perfect. I'm off 15 medications, down 100 plus pounds. I'm gaining muscle, no loose skin. I'm down 15 inches on my waist, a 4X shirt to a large, size 50 waist to a 36. Fatigue is gone. This has saved my life. I've only been on it for 10 months. Amazing. Shelly Smith says, my daughter wants to try the protocol. She is a type 1 diabetic. Can she still go on the product? So many people with type 1 diabetes have had incredible results with this. We've had many stories. Okay, more Diane Weaver, no more inflammation, no more acid reflux, no more leaky gut. My blood pressure is normal. I'm finally sleeping. I've lost 40 pounds in 3.5 months. My husband is off his acid reflux medication and statins. My mother has reversed her type 2, is off her statin medications. My mother-in-law is off blood pressure medications in 2 months after 20 years on high high blood pressure medications. She no longer needs oxygen, is off her statin medications, no longer pre-diabetic. Both have lost 40 to 50 pounds. Renee, hey Renee. Renee says 2 years on the protocol, down 100 pounds off of medications. John Cernazanu, in 6 months, I lost 30 pounds. My A1C went from a 5.7 to a 5.3. My fasting insulin lowered by 3. My inflammation has greatly reduced. Edema in legs and ankles is resolved. Neuropathy symptoms have improved. Huge rebound in mental clarity. Okay, there's 60 more of these. I'm just going to read one or two more. This is amazing. Ralph Falconbury, 50.4 pounds lost. My A1C went from a 7.9 to a 5.4. A size 4XL in clothing is down to an XL. My insulin resistance score went from a 5.6 to a 1.5. Blood pressure and cholesterol issues are gone. Irritable bowel syndrome, foot neuropathy pain, gone. I was on 11 medications per day, and I'm now on 2. I'm just going to read a couple more of these, skipping through here. Luann Stone, I've lost 50 pounds. My husband's lost 70 pounds. Jojo Bennick lost 20 pounds. Acid reflux is gone. Cholesterol is normal. Brain fog and menopause symptoms have greatly improved. Suzanne Benjamin, muscle increase, more toned, and lost 5 pounds in 2 weeks. That's awesome, Suzanne. Sue Parada, I'm not quite 1 month in, but I'm feeling fabulous. Patricia Castile, off my antidepressants. Paul Thorup, hey Paul, 1.5 years following the protocol, I'm down over 30 pounds. I've dropped 5 pant sizes. My high blood pressure is back to normal. My headaches are gone. All right, 2 more. Beatrice Nalwoga lost 40 pounds, lowered my A1C to a 4.7. So much energy. Sarah Murphy says down 19 pounds in 6 weeks. Less inflammation. Cravings are gone. I'm off my blood pressure pill after just 1 week on the protocol. There are another probably 75 comments that I won't have time to read. How cool is that? Okay. If you needed proof, there's the proof. And it's better that it came from you instead of from me, right? So this is amazing. I just want to say one thing, okay? When I look at these stories, when I hear these stories, and I think about the lives that are being changed, all the people that are saying they're off their medications, they've lost weight, yada, 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 right? All this great stuff. I think about somebody. Who do you think about? Who do you think about when you read those types of results? I think about this guy right here. This is my dad, who is now dead. My dad died 8 years ago. Colon cancer, prediabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, psoriasis, IBS, you name it. My dad had it. My hero, the greatest guy in the world, and he's no longer here. And I wish that he would have known about this back then, because I know it would have saved his life. Maybe your dad or your mom or your brother or your friend or your neighbor or a loved one needs to know about this protocol. In life, it's always good to have options. What if this was that option that you needed or that somebody needed, right? What if this could do for you what it's done for so many other people? What if this could be the thing that finally solved your problem once and for all, like it did for Carla and Linda and so many others in the chat, right? What else would happen if your health improved? You know, Linda's able to stand on her feet and cut hair longer and not have the brain fog, right? Carla's able to go out and I forget what she said, bale hay and work the land, right? What would change in your everyday life? What would happen? What would happen at work? What would happen in relationships? What would happen, you know, in what hobbies or interests could you pursue, right? And why not try something that is guaranteed to work and that is clinically proven and that is safe and natural, right? Why not? So I hope if you want to try this and you're new, I hope you'll reach out to whoever invited you to this call and just ask them to send you the link. They will send you the discount link so that you get the preferred pricing. You will then have your own discount link that you could share with friends or family so that they can get the preferred pricing. It is all about sharing the health, right? Now, I want to bring back some of you are hanging out and we're about to wrap up here, but we have a couple of minutes. Some of you are hanging out because you want to ask Lindsay a question. We got the great Lindsay Venn here, and we will use her here for the next couple of minutes to answer some questions. Lindsay, one of the questions that came through, type 1 diabetic, can they use these products safely?
Yeah, absolutely. I have many, many patients with type 1 on it. You do have to monitor insulin and do it with a doctor's supervision. So make sure that that's done correctly. But lowering insulin use is huge in type 1 to prevent double diabetes. Double diabetes is type 1 and insulin resistance. And if you can prevent that, you can prevent all of the things that happen in diabetics, the kidney failure, the losing your feet, the retinopathy. So it's very helpful.
Thank you. Tammy Justice says, I wish there was some place where this group could share foods and recipes. Hey, Tammy, maybe consider the Feel Great Family Facebook group. We've got a great support community. You're welcome to join that. The more the merrier there. Um, Kathy Mayer says, Kathy Mather, sorry, will this be available on YouTube? Yep. Reach out to whoever invited you, then get you the recording. Um, okay, Lindsay, if your main goal is fat loss and you are not doing much weight training, just walking, regular everyday movement, would you still recommend that high of a protein goal if that is making you have increased calories or pushing you past the point of feeling full? Doesn't the excess protein turn into fat if you're not using it with the resistance training?
So I had followed up with that too, and I asked the age, and she said it was a menopausal woman. And so I do recommend a minimum of 100 grams of protein per day. You know, if you want to weigh 150, if you can get 100, you're still going to do well. Sarcopenia is the number one thing that puts women in nursing homes. If you are not doing something to protect your muscle, then you're in trouble. So try to get to 100, reduce those carbs further to keep the calories under control.
Great. Somebody asking what happens if I don't like the taste or the protocol. Hey, no stress. You can use it for 90 days. If you don't like the taste, you're doing something wrong. Add some lemon to it. Sometimes I'll put lemon in my Unimate. Most people love the taste. It may be a bit of an acquired thing, but hey, this is the rule when changing health. Not you, but we have to be willing to go through a little bit of an adjustments period, right? When you go to the gym, when I go to the gym for the first time after not being in a long time, my muscles are sore. It's a painful reminder of just how far I'm removed from good health, right? Anytime you start something new, there may be a brief adjustment period. We got to power through it, and the best is yet to come kind of mentality on that. So I sometimes talk to people, and I love that Lindsay shared that, right? This is great, but I'm feeling really itchy. I hear that maybe 1 out of 1,000, so it's very rare, but it's a sign of fat loss, right? Or some of these other things. So be prepared for some of those from time to time. What happens when somebody's blood sugar drops when the person is fasting? Says Yanet. Nice to have you here, Yanet. Lindsay, hypoglycemia, do you worry about that when people are on the protocol?
Um, Not unless they're on a blood sugar lowering medication. If they're on a medication that's lowering it and they're doing the protocol, you can have the drop from the med. But if you're not on a blood sugar lowering medication, it's likely that you went from a 200, for example, to a 100. A rapid drop will lead to symptoms, but you're not technically hypoglycemic.
Thank you, Lindsay. Gerard, last question here. Gerard asks about type 2 insulin dependent. Should they stay on their continued insulin regimen on this protocol? Let's say I'm a type 2 diabetic, I'm taking medication, I'm taking insulin. I come to you, Lindsay. I say, hey, I'm going to be trying this Feel Great protocol I found out about. How would you advise me to adjust things?
That depends. If you're going to be good with the diet and you're going to be good with the protocol, we're definitely cutting back on the insulin right away. And so make sure that for sure you have a way to monitor your blood sugars. A continuous glucose monitor is almost critical in that situation. But I've had people get off of their insulin as quickly as in 10 days who start this protocol.
Amazing. Awesome. Lindsay, thank you so much. Thank you, Lindsay Van. Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Linda. This has been fantastic. If you or somebody that you love is struggling with your metabolic health, come to this call and invite somebody to this call next week, and those people will thank you later. You guys are awesome. We actually will not be having this call next week. We have a live in-person event that we're doing in Las Vegas. Those of you in the Las Vegas area that want to come and say hello and be close to the group are welcome. Just ask and we'll try to make that happen for you. But no call next week. We will resume calls on, what would that be? The 19th of May. The 19th of May. So we'll see you guys on the 19th. Thanks for being on the call. Have a great night.